On a quiet Thursday morning in Columbus, Ohio, Daniel sat in his car outside the office and refreshed his banking app. He is 29 years old. He earns $78,000 a year working in operations for a mid-sized logistics company. For the past 18 months, he has been saving aggressively, cutting subscriptions, driving the same paid-off Toyota, saying no to weekend trips he would have automatically joined 2 years ago. The number on his screen reads $20,347. For a moment, nothing dramatic happens. No confetti, no music, just a quiet awareness. He doesn't feel rich, he doesn't feel different, but something subtle has shifted. For most of his adult life, Daniel's checking account hovered between $800 and $2,000. Credit card balances came and went. Unexpected expenses felt like personal attacks. A $1,200 car repair used to mean rearranging everything. Now he has crossed a threshold that few people talk about, $20,000. Not a million, not even six figures, but enough to change how the game feels. The deeper theme behind this milestone is not wealth. It is leverage. Psychological leverage first, financial leverage second, and both begin to compound. If you look at U.S. household data from the Federal Reserve, a significant portion of Americans would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing or selling something. That's not a moral judgment. It's a structural reality of modern expenses, wages, and consumer behavior. So when someone builds a $20,000 cushion, they are no longer operating at the edge of instability. They are no longer in reactive mode. That matters more than most investment strategies. Before we talk about investing, let's understand what actually changes at $20,000. At Daniel's income level, his monthly expenses run about $4,000. Rent, food, insurance, gas, utilities, modest discretionary spending. That means $20,000 represents roughly 5 months of living expenses. He now has what financial planners call a fully funded emergency reserve, but the emotional change is bigger than the arithmetic. When you don't have reserves, every decision carries pressure. You choose jobs defensively. You hesitate to negotiate. You tolerate poor management. You avoid calculated risks. When you have reserves, optionality appears. Optionality is the first invisible dividend of $20,000. The second dividend is cognitive bandwidth. Behavioral economists have studied scarcity for decades. When your brain is preoccupied with short-term survival, it narrows your focus. You optimize for immediate relief rather than long-term gain. This is not weakness, it is neurobiology. Once Daniel crossed $20,000, something quiet happened in his thinking. Instead of asking, "Can I make it to next month?" he began asking, "Where should the next dollar go?" That shift in question is everything. Now we move to the math. Let's assume Daniel invests part of that $20,000 rather than leaving it entirely in a savings account. Historically, the U.S. stock market, represented by the S&P 500, has returned around 8 to 10% annually over long periods after inflation, though of course not in straight lines. At 8%, $20,000 generates $1,600 in a year. That does not sound dramatic, but compare it to $2,000 invested at the same return. That generates $160. Same percentage, very different impact. Scale changes perception. This is why milestones feel non-linear. The first $20,000 is slow because every dollar must come from labor. The second $20,000 is faster because labor and capital are working together. Let's say Daniel continues investing $1,000 per month at an 8% annual return. Reaching the first $20,000 may have taken roughly 18 to 20 months. The second $20,000 does not take another full 20 months because now returns are contributing. The timeline compresses slightly. Over decades, the compression becomes dramatic. Compounding is not exciting in the beginning. It is quietly structural. But this is also the moment where many U.S. investors make mistakes. The first common mistake is upgrading lifestyle immediately after reaching stability. Daniel's friends notice he has been responsible lately. Someone suggests it is time for a reward, a new SUV, a luxury apartment, a $5,000 vacation. Individually, none of these are catastrophic, but here is the hidden cost. The average new car in America now costs over $45,000. According to industry data, a vehicle loses roughly 20% of its value in the first year. That is immediate negative compounding. If Daniel finances $35,000 at 6% over 5 years, his monthly payment might be around $680. Over time, that single decision could redirect more than $40,000 of future cash flow away from investing. If that same $680 per month were invested at 8% for 25 years, it would grow to over $500,000. The decision is not about cars, it is about opportunity cost. The second mistake is chasing noise. When someone hits $20,000, they often feel confident. That confidence can become overconfidence. Friends talk about cryptocurrency. Influencers mention options trading. Social media highlights day trading gains. Speculative assets are not inherently evil, but concentration risk is misunderstood. Broad market exposure through diversified funds reduces single company or single asset risk. The total U.S. stock market can be accessed through low-cost funds, such as Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. International exposure is available through funds like Vanguard Total International Stock ETF. Bonds for stability can be added via funds such as Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF. These are not exciting tickers, they are structural tools. Chasing the latest trend often converts a stability milestone into volatility. The third mistake is ignoring tax structure. At $20,000, many people focus purely on return percentage, but in the United States, tax efficiency can be just as powerful as performance. Daniel's employer offers a 401k with a 4% match. If he earns $78,000, a 4% match equals $3,120 annually in free employer contributions if he contributes at least that much. Failing to capture that match is effectively refusing a guaranteed 100% return on the matched portion. Beyond that, he can use a Roth IRA for after-tax contributions with tax-free growth under IRS rules. He may qualify for a health savings account if enrolled in a high-deductible health plan, which offers triple tax advantages: deductible contributions, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses.